it's one thing about being elitized is that you must also hold yourself accountable. But law is hectic. If you want to pursue law, you must be prepared. Law is not like what suits portray or how to get away with murder.
It's true.
You don't need to be interested in politics to pursue law. You can always pursue a career in law, even if you're not interested in politics. And that is where I realized that there's nothing to fear in terms of speaking. There's nothing to fear in terms of stage fright. It's not as a big thing as I thought it was. Because one of the things about stage fright, you always think, or you're always constantly thinking about what is the next person think about me? How are the people receiving me? What if I make mistakes? Debate is an exchange of ideas. We always have these things where, as debaters, we say that debate is an intellectual sport. But people who play sports always dispute us. but debate is really, there's a lot that you can learn from debate, apart from the communication and the public speaking aspect of it. Debate forces you to read up on a wide array of things.
Welcome to Rise and Impact podcast, where we celebrate the incredible young people who are changing the world one community at a time. Each episode, I will be interviewing the next generation of change makers just to explore their stories, their insights and achievements. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for you to be notified whenever we release an episode. This is the Rise and Impact podcast, and I'm your host, Elizabeth.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kawa. I hope I always make sure when I pronounce your name, I pronounce it the right way.
Right.
I pronounce it the right way. So thank you so much for coming through. So yeah, the first question that I want to ask you, it's just and it's coming from a genuine place.
Yeah.
How are you? For real, how are you?
I think I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm just coming out straight from exams, so that was hectic. But I think I'm fine. I've gotten enough rest. Mentally I'm okay. Yeah. So I think I know I'm doing fine. I'm doing great.
Okay. So you are totally done with the exams now.
Yes, we are done with the exams now.
Okay, great to hear
We're
that.
waiting for the results.
Okay.
Yeah.
Positive. So yeah, how can you just tell us about yourself, because I know you from your professional side. We have worked in Namibia and all that, but then I just want to know more about you. Who are you? Who is you? And who is the person that made the person that you are today?
Wow. Okay, I'm Kauro Mpora, obviously. I am a final year law student studying at the University of Namibia. I'm a debater as well. I've been debating since 2017, so it's now close to 5-6 years of debating. I'm also the Speaker of the UNAM Student Parliament, main campus. Also the Congress Executive Speaker of Parliament for all of UNAM campuses as well. I think that's generally who I am. I'm also the planning director for Namibia, as well as the project coordinator for the election observation program, focused on encouraging young people to participate in election and electoral processes from grassroots level through the SRC elections, and so forth. And then I think that's who I am. Outside of that, what do I do? What do I enjoy? I like watching a lot of series.
Oh, okay.
I prefer watching series.
Yeah, okay. Where were you schooled in?
Yes. I schooled in Windhoek. My primary school was People's Primary School.
Oh, okay.
That's where I went from grade 1 to 7. And then high school was Concordia College, grade 8 to 12. Yes, so that's now my educational background. Yeah.
Okay, good to hear. Inspiring. It's people like you that always inspire us. So yeah, thank you so much. So the first question that I really have for you is you spoke of debating, your debating journey. You spoke of debating and you are more into that. I think that's one thing that really makes you where I know you from as well. So your debating journey seemed to have quite remarkable with numerous accolades and achievements and all that. So how did you develop such strong public speaking, and how did you improve your communication skills? Can you maybe share some tricks?
How I improved. my public speaking skills and my communication skills is really through debate.
Yeah.
One thing that debate offers, it provides you a platform where you constantly practice on how to speak and how to be better at it and so forth. So debate was the one thing that changed the way how I speak. It was one thing that changed my public speaking skills and my confidence. And I think I was also fortunate enough to have a brilliant debate coach, trainer. His name is Mr. Rwako. And also Tendai Mika as well, and a lot of other experienced speakers as well that coached me in different avenues and in different platforms. So debate is really that one thing that improved my public speaking skills. So for anyone that wants to improve on speaking, if you're still in high school, I would encourage that, I would implore that you join debate in university. I'm sure that there are also debating societies and clubs at varsity level. I know there is one in UNAM, also at NAST. So you can join those societies and just practice and practice and practice.
Okay, so have you always been this outspoken or this articulate, or when did it start?
It started with my debating. No, I was very reserved. I was a nerd. I think from grade 8 to 9 I was more into like books and just reading and stuff like that. You know, I was a bit reserved, a bit shy. I was not as confident. Every time when we had to do those English orals and presentations, I was very, very nervous most of the times, just because I was like, okay, would I make mistakes? So, how would I sound? But after joining debate in 2017, in my grade 10, that is where I started to improve in terms of my confidence, in terms of my public speaking skills. The first time I was made to debate, okay, it was in a class setting where, you know, it was just a few of us and just faces that I knew, faces that I was acquainted to, you know, and when I spoke first, when I debated for the first time, that's when I realized that speaking things for me, because I enjoyed it, I loved it. Before I was chosen to debate, I was quite shy, and I had questions in my mind, you know, is this debating thing for me? Is this speaking thing meant for me, given the fact that like I'm quite reserved and shy? But I think after my debate coach has selected me to partake in that debate practice in the class setting, that's when I realized that this is really for me, because I enjoyed it. After that, from practice, he made us debate in front of like a hall full and packed with learners. We had a friendly with a school called St. Joseph, I think, in St. Joseph, outside Windhoek. It was a friendly against our school. I was selected to represent the school, and initially what I had in mind was like, oh, it's just probably when I go to, you know, debate in a class like we do here with few learners, few debaters. When we got there, we were directed to the hall that was packed with learners. Initially I was like, okay, no, maybe this is not where we're debating, it's just the place, and then I want to get further directions. But it turned out that is where we were going to debate, and I just had to do it. And then I stood up, I debated, but obviously quite nervous at the first time. But the more I spoke, and with the progression of time, I became better and I became confident. That is where I realized that like there's nothing to fear in terms of speaking. There's nothing to fear in terms of like stage fright. It's not as a big thing as I thought it was. You know, because one of the things about stage fright, you always think, or you're always constantly thinking about what is the next person think about me? How are the people receiving me? You know, what if I make mistakes and all of those things? But in most instances, people don't really mind when you make mistakes like that, especially when you're starting with a minority speaker and stuff like that. But what is most important is usually the message of what you're trying to say and so forth. And I think that has allowed me to grow as a speaker, just being able to confront my stage fright right then and there when I just joined the recently. And I think it's from that point onwards when then I started to debate constantly, and I started to speak constantly, and I started to practice at home, speak in front of people, record myself as well, and see how I sound, and then, you know, look at whether or not I like that, and look if I don't, and look at how can I change things, you know, and then constantly consulting my debate coach and trainer, from the past, from the previous debating competition, or from the previous debate that I had, you know, that, you know, you judge me, so what can I improve on? And then you start to be thinking, okay, no, you can improve on in terms of speaking with confidence. You can improve on in terms of maybe the language that you use as well, your world economy. You can try to say a lot of things, but with fewer words. So it was, and then it was from there on, it was just an upward trajectory where I faced different positions. And because people saw me speak in debate, they would always put me in other positions where I had to speak now, because they're like, you're an eloquent speaker, now you need to speak on our behalf, you need to represent us when it came to things such as going to speak to the teachers, the principal, and stuff like that. So I was constantly put in positions where I had to speak. And because I was put in that position, then I also had to go and learn, and every single moment was a learning moment. So after every single debate, after every single speaking scene or incident, I always look back at it and see what can I improve on, what can I work on, and then work on those things, and the next one becomes better.
I have not really been involved when it comes to debating.
Yes.
Or like, I have maybe participated like in a few debates, like during school and all that. But those are just like simple stuff, like in class and all that. Yeah. But I've not really understood like what is all about debating. Is it something that is really productive? Does it build? Does it like improve in terms like except for communication, like in your public speaking? What is debating really all about?
Debate is an exchange of ideas. Like we always have these things where as debaters we say that debate is an intellectual sport, but people who play sports always dispute us. but debate is really there's a lot that you can learn from debate apart from the communication and the public speaking aspect of it. Debate forces you to read up on a wide array of things and knowledge. You are always constantly reading on principles. You're constantly reading on world affairs. What is happening in the world? What is happening in the country? What are the major problems that we are facing as a nation and as the human race in general? And then you always try to craft a solution towards those problems. But in you crafting solutions towards those problems, you are then forced to read. If, for example, there's the climate change issue, there's the climate change problem. You're then forced to read on principles of climate change. You're forced to read on sustainable development goals and things like that, so you can be able to articulate the solution better and be able to convince the next person, to persuade the person that is judging you that your solution is the better solution compared to the other what the opponents are proposing. So it is really exchange of ideas. It is debate on different things, different philosophies, different principles, and so you become quite knowledgeable. You discover, and also like in you through your journey of debate, you also discover yourself. It's like a self-discovery journey where you discover what you really like, what you really love, and so forth, because you're constantly engaging different ideas, different materials, and those will also force you to always like introspect and see, is this what I really want? Is this what I really like? And a case in point for me, for example, was like before I joined debate, I always wanted to have a career in science. I wanted to become a biotechnologist and so forth. But after I joined debate, I was engaging with a lot of content that otherwise I would have not been engaging with. I was engaging with content that is outside the science field. I was engaging with law content. I was engaging with economic content. I was engaging with philosophical content, philosophical principles, and so forth. And all of these things then forced me to look at and self-introspect and see that, like, from what I've been, from the materials that I've been engaging in, what do I really want to do? And that's when I first had an internal conflict per se to say that, like, I wanted to pursue this career for quite a long time, but now I'm seeing a shift in that, and now the other problem was, like, for me it was fine because I could solve it, but it was communicating that shift to, like, my parents, now telling them, like, their whole life has been speaking about science, this, science, that. Now you're like, I think I want to do a career in law. And that conversation came quite late. For me, it came in grade 12 when I had to apply to university. Because when you're applying, this is where you really think about what you want to be, where you want to be in terms of career choices and things like that. And then that is where I was really, really also self-introspecting, because I had not one incident where I end up doing a course that I don't like or that I don't enjoy, and because through debate I enjoyed a lot of law principles and legal materials and just things that people learn in law as well. And then I was like, okay, then I want to do my debate coach at the time I was also doing law, and sometimes we'll be discussing the assignments that he's doing, the test that he's doing. I'm like, this is quite interesting. I want to do this. So then I changed, and then when I applied for law as my first choice, my parents had questions. They were like, why law? And I had to explain to them it's because of, my interest changed, unfortunately. This is what I want to do, and why they changed in that way was because of debate. Debate forced me to engage materials and contents that otherwise in ordinary circumstances I would have not. Before debate I was engaging more with science, scientific facts. I was engaging. Even the type of shows that I was watching were really science based. The series were mostly science fiction series, things like that. But to engage like legal materials in that matter, it was because of debate. Because now I started to debate, then there was a need to engage other materials, so that when you get a motion that is based on legal principles, I need to be able to debate on that motion. So debate offers you a lot of it offers a lot of benefits apart from the public speaking benefits that you get. It also allows you to be able to really explore your interests in all sorts of the world. You explore all the different parts of yourself as well.
Now I understand why most of debaters tend to become lawyers.
Well,
and they pursue a career in law and all that. I in high school, I wanted to I had that thought of wanting to do law, to pursue law, and then I discussed that with my teachers, and they were like, no, you can't become a lawyer, you can't speak. I was just I have been very antisocial. I had poor communication skills. I couldn't I was so shy to that extent that my English teacher had to force me to just put me in the learners representative council to just try to boost my self-confidence, which it was so kind of really impossible. But then I was told, no, you can't become a lawyer, you can't speak, you can't what and all that. But now I found myself in a different setting and all that. So now I understand. Now I understand why most of you guys, especially debaters, you are so informed about certain subjects and all that. Okay, so you have been involved in leadership positions since your high school, and now even in varsity you are involved in so many projects, you are involved in so many organizations, and this year you are representing the country actually you are an ambassador for the Moon Ambassador and all that. So how has that made you understand about leadership, and how has it improved your leadership skills, and just tell us something into leadership as a young person?
Well, the different leadership roles that I've occupied, the one thing that have really taught me is it's a very good leadership. That leadership is not about you. It's about them, it's about the masses that you're leading. It's not about feelings. It doesn't matter whether you're okay, and the fact that leadership doesn't take a break. Being a leader, you never want a break. You are constantly on your toes, and you're constantly serving the electorate and the people that have put you in that position, in the place that you are. And I think the important thing is also that before you become a leader, you're always connected with your community and your constituencies and so forth. And then sometimes when you become a leader, because of the power that you had, some people oftentimes become disconnected to their constituencies. And the moment you become disconnected, that means that you can't effectively represent those people because you are not aware of the problems that you see. So leadership is a continuous and a constant engagement and consultation with the people that you are leading. So you constantly find out what are the issues, what are the problems that you are facing, how can I do better, and so forth. And it's also it's one thing about being a leader is that you must also hold yourself accountable as well. Obviously there are other people and there are systems in place that will keep you accountable to your mandate, but also ultimately you also need to keep yourself accountable to the mandate that you are sworn to. So that requires you to self-introspect and see so far am I doing okay, as a leader, am I doing what I intended to do when I accepted this role, or am I doing what I've envisioned to do with this role and with this capacity? And if I'm not, then you have that hard conversation with yourself. Okay, what is the major problem that's stopping me from representing the people in the way which I want to? What can I change now to make sure that I represent them effectively? And then you start implementing those changes and so forth. So it's a constant conversation that you have with yourself to see that, like, am I doing okay? Am I doing good? And then you move on from there. And then the other lesson that I also learned is that, like, don't always expect public approval or for everyone to like you in every setting. You are going to make decisions and actions. And these actions, some people would like it, some people won't, and that's fine. You know, like, there's no, you can't please everyone, right? But as long as you take a decision that benefits the majority of the people that you're representing, and that's fine. If there are people that are disgruntled about it, it's okay. It doesn't reflect badly on your leadership and so forth. You rather you engage them, you know, and have a conversation with them and try to make them understand as to why you take the decision and action that maybe you did. They might not understand it now in the moment, but later on you will eventually understand it as well. You know, but what matters is that the decision that you have taken is what you, at the moment in time, you thought was the best course of action. It was the best way in which you can effectively represent your constituency.
Exactly. So now you being involved in so many leadership positions and representing the country both on the local, regional, national as well. So how can you, like, I'm just like, okay, let's now give maybe a scenario. I'm just in high school, but I really want to be out there in the community. I want to be a leader one day. I want to be involved, like, to lead one day, maybe to lead a project. Like, how do I start? Like, where do I start? How do I get involved into leadership, like being in high school or something like that? So
well, being in high school, you can start from, you know, I'm sure that high schools have, like, you know, clubs. There's like debating club, and there's all of these clubs. You can start from there. You know, you can join your clubs, various clubs that you have an interest in. I think firstly you need to identify what area of interest you have. If you have an interest in sports, then you join a sports club at your school, and then you work your way up. You know, you then start looking at, like, what are the issues prominent in this sports club. What can I do that is within my power to try and change the situation as well, and then also constantly engaging with people that are also in positions of, that are in leadership positions as well, and that have leadership roles as well, because those are mostly also people that will be able to guide you, and as to what they'll be able to guide you in what to do, or what clubs or societies to join, or, you know, what leadership roles to join and so forth. But they will also be able to give you tips on how to become a better leader as well. You know, the simple one, you can start from being I don't know, a class captain or a class monitor, or, you know, and then you just start from there. I think that's how I even started. I started as I was the vice chairperson of the debating society at my high school, and then from there I was then elected into the LRC, the Learners Representative Council. I think that's how my leadership journey started.
Exactly. And most of us, we tend just to think that, no, you're just going to wake up one day and you are put into a position. Obviously, you have to start from somewhere. You have to start from the low. You have to learn, like, the basics, the foundations, and all that for you to be, you know, to one day to lead, like, a larger group or something, a larger organization or something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think also the other thing that about leadership as well, I think a lot of people are in a hurry to become leaders. No one wants to become a follower. But I think there was a saying that I read that says, in order for you to be a good leader, you need to be a good follower. So you need to be a servant for a while, you need to be a follower for a while, in order for you to really become a good leader. And that is how also that is the perspective and mindset that I took. You know, I did not rush into taking leadership positions or capacities. I rather took time to follow the leaders that were in place.
Pardon? Oh, okay. I said, okay, you can get.
Yes, so what I was saying that, like, you know, you need to be a good follower. If, for example, you're in a club as the leader, then you follow that leader. You know, obviously you pick up a few mistakes that they're making here and there and stuff like that, but you also look at the good things that they are doing as well, you know, and you allow yourself to be led by that person. And by the time you become a leader, you would know what requires to be a good follower. So you would know, in order for the people that are following me to be happy, this is what I need to do as a leader. This is what I wanted my leader to do for me. And then you just do that.
Okay, that's very interesting. That's very true. Okay, you being now like a final year student at the University of Namibia, how has your academic journey influenced your perspectives on leadership and making an impact? And how do you integrate your legal knowledge with your passion for leadership and volunteerism?
Yeah, that's quite everyone. How I intertwined my knowledge with my passion for leadership.
Yeah.
I think I did that through becoming Speaker of Student Parliament. Being Speaker of Student Parliament, obviously you are a presiding officer of the Student Parliament. You are an advisor to the council, to the Student Representative Council on policy issues of the university, and you constantly advise, especially the council on policy matters. So coming from a legal perspective and a legal background as well, and having done a lot of legal workshops and theories and stuff, it allowed me to integrate into that space as well, because I have the legal basis, I have the knowledge, the legal knowledge, so it becomes easier for me to be able to advise the council effectively on policy matters. And also through my debating experience and being a debater, it allowed me to be able to chair debates in the parliament effectively as well, to be able to reach effective and comprehensive resolutions as well, because then I know how to be able to ask questions or pose questions to the floor that will spark engagement, that will spark a different type of conversation, or that will move the conversation in a different direction to allow for the House to consider issues that maybe they are not considering at the point of time, So my legal knowledge has influenced, or it has allowed me to become an effective Speaker of Parliament. It has allowed me to be able to hold individuals accountable effectively, because then I'm able to read that this is the individual's mandate, this is what they have done thus far, and this is what they are failing in, and this is how I can maybe come in and being able to then hold them accountable in that area. But also knowing that when you are holding someone accountable, you are doing so while recognizing the humaneness behind the person that occupies the office as well, and doing it in a way, because with accountability you want to do it in such a way that the person receives it as such. Because if the person sees it as if you are attacking them, then it doesn't serve any purpose. They don't improve, they don't do anything and so forth. But you have a genuine conversation with them to say that, like, I feel like you are falling short in this area. Is there maybe a problem that I am not aware of that you are facing and so forth. So that is what my legal knowledge has allowed, or has influenced the position that I feel. And also, like now, for example, being the ambassador for the UN ambassador for African Union, having done modules like international public international law, international economic law, and all of these modules on international law, it has allowed me to be able to then fill in this space as well, and be able to encourage other young people to pursue courses or careers in diplomacy, being able to train other people on diplomacy as well, and on international law matters as well, and how the UN works and so forth. Because this is what I learned. I learned about the UN structures, I learned about how it works and functions. But then now it's a matter of being able to do it on the practical level, through the model meetings as well.
Okay, very interesting, very interesting. Okay, let's now move to Namibia.
Yeah.
You being, could you just tell us more about your role as a director, the director at Namibia, and then your work in encouraging young people's participation in democratic processes, and just what initiative have you been involved in, and what impact have you witnessed through your efforts as a director in Namibia?
Okay, so as a planning director, one of my core functions is to be able to come up with strategic plans for the organization as well, create strategic goals that the organization should meet, revise our strategic plan that we've already created and see whether or not we are meeting those goals thus far, and what to improve. I also look at things such as monitoring and evaluations as well, to monitor and evaluate the progress that we're making as an organization, and look at where generally being able to facilitate and assist all the other directors in them fulfilling their roles as well. As the coordinator for the election observation program, what the program is about is about introducing young people to electoral processes and procedures from the grassroots level.
Yeah.
And it emanated from initially, we're having a discussion with the executive director, and we're saying that like one of the core problems within Namibia is lack of participation in democratic processes. So then we looked at how can we then create programs to try and incentivize and encourage young people to participate in these democratic processes. We came up with a variety of programs, and one of the programs which I now coordinate is the election observation program, where we try and introduce young people to electoral processes through the observation of SRC elections as well, so they can see how the election procedures work in general, and then also we do this with the aim of like hopefully this sparks an interest in them to participate in democratic processes further. It sparks an interest in them to, for example, to vote and so forth, and to also just election observers in the national elections when it does come up, and when the electoral Commission of Namibia does call out for like volunteers to assist with the election observation, electoral procedures. They can apply for those things, and they can do that because they've got an experience from the organization, and they've gotten that interest through observing these actual elections and so forth. So what is that? That is what the aim of the program is. I think we enrolled it last year for the first time. We observed the UNAM SRC elections. We also observed the NAST SRC elections as well. We also observed the election of the Namibian Disability Organization as well. Towards the end of the year in which this capacitated a lot of the volunteers that were involved in the program, because they understand what the amount of work that goes into organizing an election, for example. They also understand like the key issues and concerns that young people have with regards to these elections and so forth. Because what we're doing, particularly last year as well, we're encouraging them to go to students and find out from them how is the election procedure, how is the election history, what do they like, what do they not like, are they even aware that there are elections that are taking place at their various universities and so forth, and then with the additional the organizations governing documents, these elections being run in accordance with the organization's constitution, being run in accordance with general election principles and procedures, and the additional standards of elections and so forth. So that is what the program is. The impact that I have seen through the organization, I've seen a lot of people who went through the organization because they get certain skills that they then implement in their lives and other roles that they are one of them. We are here with the podcast
exactly.
now, so so that those are like the little changes and impacts that I see in the organization.
Okay, very interesting. Very interesting. And I think like through that program as well, like we as young people, we just think they're like, okay, has elections, how does that have to do with me? Like yes. I'm not like those people that are involved in like the one that want to get leadership position, they should be the one doing the work or something like that. But then we just get to understand like we all should really be involved when it comes to election, no matter what institution it is, because our vote or our voice actually like counts. Bigger level and all that. So and then the other question is like you being now the ambassador for the moon model, like the African Prepared. How does this experience contribute to your growth as a leader? And how do you believe the model UN simulation actually help young people develop important skills and understand like global issues?
How it influences my growth.
Okay, before we go, can you just tell us how did it actually come about?
How it came about? Okay, so initially I was selected to partake in the leadership program of African Rebirth last year. And through that program, we're engaging with different varieties of content. We're engaging on how to become an effective leader and how to meet in various spaces. And there were guest speakers that were invited to speak to us on different issues and matters. Right? And then I attended that last year, and then I moved on with life from there. I did not expect anything, but at the beginning of this year, the I think the chairperson of the African Reference
Yeah.
Organization got in touch with me and was saying that there's this new program that he wants to implement in Africa.
Yeah.
He wants to start and where students participate in it and so forth. It becomes a big official thing like they do in other countries, like in European countries and so forth.
Yeah, like in Asia and all that.
Yes, and then he said that he wants me to be the ambassador for the program.
For
And-
Namibia.
for Namibia, and I was like, Aish, I'm a bit busy.
Yeah.
I'm a speaker of parliament.
Yeah.
I mean, a final year law student.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. You
Yeah.
know, things are a bit hectic. I don't know if I'll be able to really be available like that. It was like, no, it's a flexible program. They'll host it they're hosting training sessions every second week. And the fact that we are ambassadors per se, we're just organizing the whole entire thing. Not like it won't take a lot of our time. So I gave it a go. And I think that from that moment when we had our first training, before we had our first training session, we then interviewed applicants. There was an application process that was done, and then a lot of young people applied to it, and then we interviewed all of them and selected some to participate in
The African Reference
program.
Program.
Program now to participate as Model UN delegates as well, because we wanted individuals that are really serious about the program and people that will be there for the long run, in the long term goals, and not just leave before it starts. That's why we had to do the interviews. And through doing those interviews and the first training sessions that we had with the delegation and the various guest speakers that were invited to participate in that, and I was like, this is something that I genuinely like. I love it. So then I decided to continue as a Model UN ambassador for the country. Yeah. So, and then as to how that influences my leadership capacity, I think it challenges my leadership capacity in a way that has never been challenged before, because across the whole Model UN program and how it works, how it functions, so it forces me to also read as well on the Model UN simulations, how the deliberations are done, how the resolutions are passed, what is effective for a possible solution. Doing the research on the policies of different countries, the foreign policies, and so forth. So it pushes my leadership capabilities, because it's a different space that I've not been involved in. So currently now I'm in SRC, particularly a speaker of student parliament, where I just chair the debates and so forth of the Model UN, and even the chairing of the debates to come up with the resolutions, sort of different from what I do in student parliament as well. So I think it challenges me in that way as well. And also I have generally also wanted to do Model UN, but there wasn't a platform or avenue through which I could do that. So now that I'm an ambassador for the Model UN program, I was like, I might as well also do it. I might as well do it because the opportunity is here. So then I'll take it as such. The importance of it for young people, I think it's particularly important for young people because one, it forces them to read on current affairs and what is happening on globally. Two, it also forces them to read up on different countries and their policies or their perspective or their stance on different issues and so forth, But I think what is more important is the skill of diplomacy that you get from it as well, where you understand that sometimes, instead of resorting to violence, you need to just talk out, you talk through things, you sit down and have a conversation with whatever individual or person opponent that you're having a conflict with, and you try to craft a way forward, as opposed to just resorting to violence being a first resort. So I think that is really the important skill that teachers or that we have on the young people that participate in it.
Very interesting. And I think it's a really great opportunity for us as African young people, African youth, to have a Model UN within Africa, because most of them that we see, they are in Asia, they are in other countries and all that, and it's really difficult for you to go, because you have to have flights and flight tickets, accommodations and all that, and you being involved, it's there is no much opportunity for you.
For it, exactly. And then now when you create a local one where people don't have to travel abroad, flight and stuff, and they can just experience it here.
Exactly.
Obviously, we have intention of making it a bigger thing to give them the opportunities to be able to to go abroad and engage with other delegates. But for now, just creating that platform itself is enough.
Exactly. And maybe for those people that are just wondering of what African Rebirth is, maybe can you just maybe like the African Rebirth program, because it's it's an important program like for people, as young people, because I also went through the African Rebirth program, which is one program that really contributed when it comes to my leadership skills, my communication, and all that. So it really helps. So
African Rebirth is okay. So the organization itself is an organization that is focused on cultivating young leaders and empowering them and giving them skills that will allow them to thrive in the different areas that they lead in as well. So they usually have they have like leadership programs every year, and they send out applications where different young people apply to lead. And I think there's really a wealth of knowledge that you get from that. In that you engage with experts in different industries, different areas, in politics, in law, in business, and so forth. These people speak to you on issues that they face in different industries and how maybe they've overcome that and so forth. And you are given an opportunity to be able to engage these people and ask them questions and just make it contextual to what you are facing now. And then also it allows you to be able to engage with other people, other young people from Africa and other countries and so forth. And I think that is an opportunity that in the normal course of events you will not really engage with young people from other countries because you don't have a platform to do so. So what African Rebirth does is it gives you the platform to be able to do that, and you build your network and build connections.
Exactly, that's very true. That's very true, because I also built like a quite large number of connections from African Rebirth. I have members, I have people that I got to know, first met in African Rebirth program, that we are still friends, that if I have maybe a problem when it comes to maybe a certain area, when it comes to health, I know who to approach, like, oh, can we do this and all that. So yeah, it's a great program.
I know it is.
Yeah. And then throughout your journey, you have been involved in like various organizations and initiatives. So how do you manage your time and responsibility effectively, balancing your academic pursuit, leadership roles, and personal growth? Like you are really involved in so many things.
I know.
And then management is one of the biggest, it's a challenge for me as well.
That management is a big one.
Yeah.
Especially now that I'm the final year, there's so much academically the course is so demanding. It requires you to put in a lot of hours in studying and stuff. But then at the same time also the student leadership as well on the other side. And there's this other leadership portfolios and capacities that I occupy. But I think how I manage my time, I look at what is urgent and what is important as well. There are certain things that are urgent but are not important. There are certain things that are important but they are not urgent at the same time. So I look at the task, okay, if there's an important task that I must do now, then I do that and so forth. I try to plan also ahead, to have a proper schedule to say like, okay, this month, these are the different things that I would be expected to do, right? So when for example I'm getting additional engagements or additional obligations, I'm able to plan them accordingly. I'm able to say like, okay, I won't have time to do this. We can maybe push it to the next month, or you can try to find a different person that will be able to fulfill this role and so forth. But planning your time is really, really, really important because it allows you to be able to do everything all at once as well. And the fact that with academics is an unending thing. You come from doing your various leadership activities, for example hosting student parliament, and during the night that you must study because you have a test that is coming up or you have an assignment that's coming up and so forth. So it's just being able to plan your time in advance, plan and schedule the activities properly to ensure that they don't clash. The activities would clash when you don't plan or schedule them. I think there was a saying that someone was saying. He was saying that don't allow yourself to be an item on someone else's calendar. So what that means is that you cannot just be moved around someone else's calendar. They inform you today, no, tomorrow there's this activity that you must do. Oh no, the next day you must do this, you must do that. But you're not able to tell them to say that tomorrow I'm occupied because I have already plan this and that and that.
Exactly,
So that is why like planning is really important.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Because planning as well also helps me. Like I know that next weekend I have this and this plans, and I know this time and this time maybe I might be available, I might not be available. So it's always great when somebody asks you, Elizabeth, can you avail for this? And you will be able to say yes or no, I will be there. And then the person will obviously understand. Not just these things of agreeing to everything, and then when the time comes, you find yourself you were supposed to be somewhere else, and then you have to tell the person, no, can we cancel and all that.
Yeah.
So it really helps. It does help a lot, and it helps you like to do a lot of stuff.
Yes.
To complete a lot of your task and all that.
Exactly. Sometimes you find out that you have free time.
Yeah.
You know, but in that free time, then you do activities that you were going to do either ways to free additional time.
Yeah.
You get room for additional, activities that you might have.
Exactly. That's very true. So now you what advice would you give to young individuals who aspire to become effective leaders and make positive impact in their community? Like when it comes to others, like specific resources like that you or books or experience that shaped you into leadership in your like shaped your leadership philosophy. Like what resources are there for as an Namibian young
resources. We have human resources. I think for me, the one thing that has really shaped my leadership style and experience as well is my debate coach. Mr. Rocker. We have been having back and forth conversation on leadership roles and how different people have done in their various leadership capacities. How he has done leadership. He has commented. We've always been out to go read this book, to watch this video, or and like if I have a problem that I feel like I'm solving, So I think what we can do as young people, with a lot of people who are in leadership capacities and roles and stuff, we can always engage those individuals. We can engage them, we can learn from them, And then the other one is YouTube. YouTube has all the resources.
University of YouTube.
The University of YouTube. University of YouTube. It has all the resources. It has everything that you can really learn. You can search. It has a wide variety of topics that you can learn from. But my advice to Namibian and particularly young people would be to dare to try. I think a lot of young people are afraid to try different things. Are afraid to take up leadership roles and positions because there's always conversations. There's always talks of, would I do good? Or am I enough for this role? There's that imposter syndrome where you're like, oh no, I don't think I'll excel here. Like you were saying that, I don't think I can do law because I'm shy, because I am not as confident, I have stage fright and so forth. But dare to try, you must start somewhere. Of course you will be afraid to take up that role, or you will be afraid while you are doing it for the first time, but do it while afraid. You become better, If, for example, you want to do law, but you're stage fright and you're not confident, then you look for ways and platforms in which you can improve your speaking, so you can become the lawyer that you want to become. But don't shy away from doing law because of that. Don't let your stage fright or your lack of public speaking prevent you from pursuing the career that you want. Always try to look for alternatives and solutions to the problems that you are facing, so you look for solutions to the barriers that you are experiencing now that are stopping you from becoming the person that you want to become, and you try to solve that so you can get and craft a way to allow you to step into the role that you want, step into a role that you feel like you're being purpose to do.
So now, we have so many young people here in Namibia, even abroad and all that. But what are some of the most important skills that you think you must learn these important skills while you are really still in high school, or just they will really help your life after high school, or they will help you to some of the most important skills, or maybe some of the things that you wish you knew before you finished the high school?
Delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is one of them. Sometimes the thing with delayed gratification is it's a long-term thing. You look at sometimes people prioritize a short-term benefit over a long-term harm, right? So there's like this, I don't know, role that is exciting, you know, to give you a lot of, and there's money involved and all of those things, but like when you take that role up, it will prevent you from doing another thing, you know. So it's always being able to prioritize what you're doing at the moment, you know. Looking at, for example, that like, okay, I want to become a lawyer one day. So then the priority should become that like, okay, I need to do well, I need to have good grades, you know. So then you prioritize your good grades over going out, which is a short-term benefit, you know, because you know, like, okay, eventually I would have an opportunity to go out, but just not now, because it's this thing that I want to do, you know, just being able to discipline, you know, in what you want to do. So it's delayed gratification, and I think public speaking is also another one. Public speaking is a very important skill. That if you have an opportunity to master it in high school, you know, then you can do it as well, because the public speaking will open a lot of doors for you, you know. When you are in a room where, or you're in an interview, because in an interview now you must speak, you must sell yourself to people.
Exactly.
But if you don't have those skills, then you're not able to effectively sell yourself. You know, you're not able to effectively convince the next person why you are the best thing for the job, why you're the best person to fill that role, and so forth. So public speaking is also another important skill that you need to develop. And I think also I partly mentioned this as well, but self-discipline as well. You know, it's very, very important that you are you must be disciplined in terms of your time as well, the time that you allocate. Sometimes we do this thing where you're like, oh no, I can just watch one episode now and study later.
So we wake up to see this.
And study later.
Yeah.
But then like the problem is like the time that you spend watching that one episode is the time that you get covered a lot.
Exactly.
You know? So it's just being disciplined about your time and knowing that like, okay, I'm now in the exam season, so I need to study. Or for example, I'm required to do this thing now, so I will do that now, and then put everything else on hold for the moment. You know? So self-discipline, public speaking, delayed gratification as well. You know, always looking at the long term. Look at the long term goal, prioritize the long term benefit over the short term benefit as well.
And I think like those are really the skills that I wish I knew while I was in high school, because I had to learn some of these skills like when I was already done, and it was a whole struggle. I was told, and I always think of it like the only way you can actually, like what my brother told me is like, well, the only way you can actually like succeed in life is when you learn how to talk to people.
Yes.
Because people will be the one to open doors for you. People will be the one to connect you to opportunities. But I was very shy. I wouldn't talk to people, so I had to find a way to actually like, you know, just kind of learn communication skills, be able to like become free when speaking to people and all that.
Yes.
And that's how I kind of like excel in places where I am and all that. So
it is, you know, and I think also the other thing that I can mention now is always doing that thing that is uncomfortable, but you want to.
Yeah.
For example, like you say that like you had an issue with speaking with people and you know, stage fright and so forth. So the idea of you having to engage with someone was a daunting idea, but you had to do it nonetheless. Because it's the only way in which you can, you know, excel. You need to build a network and so forth. People always say that your network is your network.
Exactly.
But if you are not able to engage with people, then you're not able to do that. So it's just being able to do that is uncomfortable, but in the long term it will be good. You know, you change and so forth. You know, temporary pain, you know, for much more better future.
That's very true. So Kaura, looking back at your experience, what is one memorable event or achievement that has had a significant impact on your personal and leadership development, and how has it shaped your aspiration for the future to come?
Oh, big event that happened.
An achievement.
The big achievement, I think it was last year when I participated in the mooting competition hosted by ENS Africa. So mooting competition is sort of like a simulation of what happens like in the actual courtroom. You know, so we have judges and law students. You know, we don't pretend, but I mean, we act as lawyers.
Lawyers, okay.
You know, and we have hypothetical clients that we present. So then there was a mooting competition hosted last year by ENS Africa, one of the biggest law firms in Africa.
Oh, where was that year?
Yes, it was at UNAM.
Okay.
So UNAM students, law students, we mooted against different law students that are equally competent, skilled, you know, and my team we made it to the finals. With my partner, another team, we got an opportunity to make submissions before 2 high court judges. You know, for me, this is something, for me that was really, really a memorable event from the whole meeting competition, because it's not, most people usually have an audience before 2 high court judges once they are admitted to the practitioners. And the fact that like I had that while I was in my third year, it was amazing. It was scary while doing the submissions, but it was scary in a good way. You know, it was exhilarating. It was that fear, but it was a good fear. You know, they grilled us, but it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. And then, you know, what topped off the whole experience is them having to award me as the first speaker of the whole entire competition. I think that was really testament to the work that I put in, the efforts, and also that's testament to my skills, my oratory skills as well, and you know, advocacy skills as well. And I think if I had any shadow of doubt about the skills that I have as an individual, I think they were dispelled at that competition, because it's not the regular that you would have 2 high court judges before you know, and the fact that I had an opportunity to be able to engage with these individuals and speak to them, and they were so happy about the speech that I gave in that final, so you know, the law and all of those things. So for me, it was just an affirmation of the work that I've put in so far as an individual, that like I'm on the right track, you know, and I should just continue and just become better and improve.
That's good. It's impressive. That's very okay. I didn't know that. Okay, then and I really admire your when it comes to your public speaking, like you have really your confidence, just your orator skills and all that. Like it's really, you're one of the people that I actually look up to when it comes to my improving my communication and my public speaking. And I've been actually looking forward to speaking to you and just to know about you, but now I got this opportunity. So now, okay, you are a law student, right?
Yeah.
So what are if I want maybe to pursue a career in law, what subject should I have, or what field should I be in, and maybe the points, if you can actually tell me.
I don't think there's a specific field that you must be in. I think the requirements that you must have English. I think English is compulsory across the board. So the points have changed now. You must have 5 points in 5 subjects. I think that's grade 11 now. The new curriculum, grade 5 and 5. You must have at least 3 subjects on AS level now, I think. With regards to the field, you can pursue any field. You must just have English. You must have a B simple in English, or a better simple. And what else? I think that's pretty much it. 35 points in 5, a B simple in English, at least 3 subjects on AS level, and I think 2 on theory. And that's pretty much it. But law is hectic. If you want to pursue law, you must be prepared. Suits. Law is not like what suits portray or how to get away with murder.
It's true. So these are it's totally different.
Oh no.
When you are in there.
In law school, there's a lot of the reading is a lot. It's a lot. It's unending. But it's hectic. It's hectic. You must be prepared. You must be prepared to read and read a lot.
Okay. Then I've always been interested. Do you need to be kind of interested in politics for you to pursue law, or is there a difference between, or is it the field?
Not really. You don't need to be interested in politics to pursue law. You can always pursue a career in law, even if you're not interested in politics as well. But I think law and politics are in certain ways also sort of intertwined as well. Because for example, when it comes to the making of laws as well, law is made by legislators and lawmakers who are in most instances like politicians and things like that. And also looks at the background of individuals who are making the law. Because a different person will always make the background of individuals that are making the law and the background of individuals that are also interpreting the law as well. Because a person who has a different background will always interpret the law differently. So you don't have to have an interest in politics to pursue law. I think you just if you you generally want to pursue a career in law, or you just generally want to find out more about law, you can do that. You can pursue you can pursue a degree in law, but you must be prepared to read. If you don't like reading, then I don't think
you can do it.
No, you must be prepared to read, because you're going to read a lot. You have sleepless nights of just reading. Sometimes you read content and you don't understand it, but that is the nature of it. But it's doable. It is manageable.
If you guys are doing it and doing so much, okay. And then you can like in law, right? Do you also major in what are you do you also major into a specific, maybe if you want to major in if you want to do law in politics or law in environmental or law, is there even something like that?
No, what happens in law school is you do all the different laws, right? So you do different areas of law. So you do commercial law, criminal law, civil procedure, things like that. So you do from first year until your fourth year, you do different types of laws. But by the time you final year, by the time you graduate, you have done almost all the different areas of law. But I think the only difference is in your final year, you are allowed to choose certain modules that are called electives. This is on top of the prescribed ones. So you're allowed to choose at least 2 modules that you have a genuine interest in pursuing. So it can be intellectual property law, or it can be mining law, or it can be environmental law, or so forth. And then after you graduate, then it's up to you to decide now in what area of law you want to go into. Do you want to go into criminal law? In criminal law, do you want a defense attorney, or do you want to become a prosecutor, or you want to go into corporate law, or commercial or civil litigation? You still decide now after you have graduated which field or area of law you want to venture into.
But then, if you're now graduate, are you automatically a certified lawyer, or is there something else that you need to do before you can actually
A lawyer solution is a law degree. So by the time you graduate, you are a lawyer, but you're not a legal practitioner.
Oh, okay.
So what happens is, if you want to have a legal practitioner, is obviously a practicing lawyer. You have audience, you can represent clients in the court and so forth. So if you want to become a practicing lawyer, you do I think 9 months of what is called JTC, Justice Training Center, which is sort of practical training on law, where you do certain modules on a practical level, where you're practically taught, and then you assist on a practical point as well. And then while doing that, also you are usually oftentimes attached to a firm, and you must complete certain hours with the law firm, or whatever law organization or body that you form part of, right? And then after you have passed your JTC examinations and your board exams, you then make an application to become an admitted legal practitioner. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you so much. It's very interesting. It's actually I thought you just become
no,
legal practitioner after you get your degree.
No.
Okay, so thank you so much, Kaura. Any maybe last words or anything that you actually we left out, maybe something that you wanted to mention, maybe anything that you actually, anything that you want to.
No, thank you for inviting me. I've watched a lot of your episodes, and I was like, I want to be interviewed one day. But I'm here now. No, thank you for inviting me and just creating this platform where we can talk and discuss on the issues that we did. I don't have any issue in perspective that I want to talk about. I think I've spoken about almost everything that we needed to do. So.
And how can people reach out to you?
How can you reach out to me? You can reach out to me on my social media accounts. I think on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook as well. Kaura Bora on Facebook, Kaura Bora Yankara on Instagram, Kaura Bora LinkedIn.
Okay, I'll provide your social media and I can put in the description notes of the video. So thank you so much, and thank you, and we wish you all the best with all the individuals that are actually coming up and all that.
No,
that you're involved in.